Hello, everyone. Good morning. Happy, fantastic Friday. Happy New Year. I am thrilled to be here again for a second time this week for our Live2Lead Speaker Spotlight series. So if you've been following us, you know that we are gearing up for an incredible event on February 20th in Atlanta, Georgia at MODEx Studio. Live2Lead is a leadership and personal growth event one day that is going to knock your socks off and propel you forward in 2025. If you haven't been with us before, what is Live2Lead? Well, Live2Lead is a Maxwell Leadership sponsored event. We are in our 11th year at Maxwell Leadership for Live2Lead, and I am so excited that this is my very first year as a Maxwell Leadership Executive Program Director to be a Live2Lead host. So we are going to bring you an incredible day with some global broadcast speakers, courtesy of Maxwell Leadership content that you will not be able to get anywhere else other than Live2Lead. And in addition to these incredible powerhouse global thought leaders, I have pulled together 7 in-person speakers who are going to pour more value into you than you're going to know what to do with. But we're also going to help you walk away with actionable strategies. So I'm thrilled today to bring another one of our esteemed speakers up on the stage as we gear up for Live2Lead so you can hear from her and learn more about what she's going to pour into you. So before I open up the stage and we hear from Chakurra, let me tell you a little bit about this fabulous human being. So Chakurra is the CEO and founder of Occupancy Heroes Incorporated. She has over 20 years of experience in the multifamily industry, earning recognition as one of the most influential women of 2020. Her commitment to diversity, inclusion, and affordable housing has driven impactful initiatives, including a maintenance apprenticeship program that has trained nearly 600 individuals since 2018. As a notable trainer and advocate, Chakurra works closely with the National Apartment Association and was invited to the White House to support minority entrepreneurship. Occupancy Heroes grossed $1 million in its first year and continues to lead in elevating industry standards nationwide. And that's just the highlights of this person, okay? So Chakurra, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. And say hello to everybody.
Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie. It is an honor to be here. Look, technology is amazing. I'm broadcasting from Africa, so I'm excited.
Technology is amazing, right? We can be anywhere in the world and connect with one another, which is so exciting.
Absolutely.
All right, so I want to dive in to my questions for you. Want to learn a little bit more about you, obviously, but specifically the incredible value that you're going to bring to everyone who attends Live2Lead next month. So my first question is, tell us a little bit more about your session topic and your areas of influence as a leader.
Okay. Well, my session topic is unmasking leadership, owning your influence, living your truth, and leading authentically. Gosh, I got to tell you, leadership isn't reserved for those with the fancy titles or the corner offices. It's alive, like every single day, woven into how we show up in our lives and our families and our communities. And I want people to know that. In this session, we're going to strip away all the myths about who gets to lead and uncover the leaders that exist in each and every one of us, from the visible managers to the invisible ones. And we're going to talk about that as well. But we all have leadership qualities that deserve recognition. So in this session, we're going to basically just embrace all of our unique leadership styles, amplify our impact, and inspire others on how to do the same. This is going to happen through storytelling. If anybody knows me, I am a huge storyteller. I absolutely love strategizing, so we're going to talk about that. And I love being practical, so we're going to have some practical tools. So overall, we're going to identify and own your leadership qualities in every single aspect of your life. Recognize and celebrate the leaders around you. Embrace authenticity. That's always been a word for me, y'all. Authenticity, okay? While adapting to different environments, cultivate a mindset that transforms everyday actions into extraordinary leadership moments. So basically, it's about not becoming someone else, but becoming more of who you already are, because leadership starts with truth, right? Living your own truth. And together we're going to explore those things. Now, as far as my leadership influence, gosh, you know what, Stephanie, I'd say as someone that wears countless hats, right? I lead by basically just, I don't know, I guess showing that truth, right? Showing people the authentic side and the resilience, you know, those are things that I bring to the table. So I think that's the heart of my effective leadership. My influence extends across all industries and roles. So basically, it's empowering everyday leaders. I advocate for recognizing the leaderships and roles that often go unseen. And that's because leadership doesn't always look the same to everybody. Fostering authenticity, showing people how to adapt without losing themselves, demonstrating the true leadership, you know, what true leadership really is, what it's about, and basically how to show up as your whole authentic self, and creating spaces of recognition. Because I got to tell you, I encourage people to acknowledge and celebrate their contributions, ensuring that no leader, visible or not, you know, feels overlooked, and building generational impact. My work emphasizes on building a legacy. I'm all about legacy. So whether through community development, business success, or personal growth, we have to make an impact. So I guess ultimately, my goal is to inspire people in all that I do, you know, and teach people how to lead boldly, how to live authentically, and recognize the power of their influence in every aspect of their life, because I just cannot stress that enough. You know, we're not looking at one thing here. And when you see yourself as a leader, inspire others to do the same, that's when real transformation happens. And that's what I'm all about. You know, people call me a transformative leader because I'm about transformation. So that would be my answer.
I absolutely love it. And of course, it's music to my ears as a transformational leadership coach. And you touched on a lot of things that I am really passionate about, that I help others with. And so when you talked about, you know, being who you are, and I say this all the time, and, you know, I'm an assessment geek, right? And so I'm a DIS consultant, and I've been facilitating Clifton Strengths workshops for 15 plus years. And that's really the philosophy of leaning into your strengths, right? You can be anyone that you want to be, as long as it's more of who you already are, right? And lean into that and capitalize on your strengths. And I'm also a big fan of authenticity, because when we're authentic, it helps us to lean into our strengths. And it also gives other people permission to do the same. And it inspires others to follow you, because they know that you're real, and that's attractive, right? We want to be with people who inspire us, because we see them, wow, this is a real person. Not, you know, she's done all of these things, but she's also willing to share the behind the scenes stories of how she got there. And it's not all beautiful, because all success includes periods of failure and learning, right? And that leads into the resilience that you talked about, which is huge. I was listening to one of my friends talking the other day on one of his videos, and he said, he also talks a lot about resilience. And he said, I used to think that resilience meant that you're just so tough that you don't let things get to you, and that you somehow could avoid the bad things that happen in life or the negative feelings. And he said, what I've learned by developing my own resilience is it's what do you do with those things that happen that are difficult or challenging or even sometimes debilitating? How do you use that and leverage it to not only become stronger, but to make a better way, right? Or in some cases, how do you use your test as your testimony and your mess as your message to help the former version of you who may be going through that challenge get through it, over it, and beyond it? So I absolutely.
That was such a good way of putting that. I love that.
Yeah, I love what you are going to be bringing to everybody. You guys have to be in the room. You do not want to miss this, because you will only get this in the room that day with all of these powerhouse speakers. All right. So my next question for you is, why was it important, Chakurra, for you to participate in this event?
Because it was a no-brainer. It's an amazing event, and I saw the speakers, I saw what it was about, and I just thought that it was necessary. And ultimately, I just felt as if I could bring something to it. And my piece was literally, I just wanted to be a mirror for people like me. And when I say that, I mean the people who may not recognize their leadership. I want people to look at themselves and truly see the leader that they already are, not just a title. It's not just about titles or the role that we play in their lives, right? So I think that we often overlook the everyday leaders among us, such as the mothers, the fathers, caregivers, community builders, okay, and those invisible managers. And I heard that term not too long ago, a few months ago, last year, I heard that. And I was just like, wow, and so what the invisible manager is, ultimately, it's the appointment setter, the schedule maker, those that, pack lunches and are multitask mavens, right? All those people who somehow keep life moving seamlessly, those people are true leaders. And that is leadership. It's resilience, it's problem solving, and it's the ability to inspire others, even when no one's handing out awards, right? So we keep going. So I'm someone who has lived that reality. I mean, imagine being a mother of 9. And when I say a mother of 9, I mean like 9 different personalities. I mean twins with different personalities. Married to a seasoned entrepreneur, because when I came into this thing, I was new at it, but my husband had been doing this thing for years, right? So having to deal with that and having to be a wife, and all of this while pregnant, creating and running a multi-million-dollar firm with thousands of employees, depending on its success, right? So that was crazy stressful. Serving on boards, speaking on stages, managing properties, now doting over my grandchildren and traveling the world, okay? All while navigating the complexities of life, girl, okay? But, that's my story. But the thing is, Stephanie, it's not unique. Okay, it's really not. When we say all these things, it looks like, oh my God, right? But there's so many of us that are doing this daily without any kind of recognition, and the incredible leadership that it takes to balance that all is just mind blowing. So, I just want people to take a look in the mirror, and I want them to see all of those things that I mentioned, because they're probably doing it too, and they probably don't realize how much they bring to the table. But, ultimately I'm participating because I want people to just like take a moment to stop and, just like breathe and give yourself the credit that you deserve, because it's not about waiting for someone else to validate you. It's about knowing in your core, in your bones, that you are a leader. And, I've been to too many conferences to count, and I've been there, and women leadership conferences especially, right? And you hear people praising their nannies and their housekeepers, and assistants, right? And the thing is, they deserve it. They really do. They absolutely deserve that recognition, but so do we, right?
Yeah.
Because we're the ones who make it possible. We're the glue, we're the engine. We are like that force behind it all. And, this event is my chance to remind us that leadership isn't just confined to the boardrooms and the job titles. It lives in us every single day. It's how we show up for our families, our teams, our communities, and for ourselves, because we have to show up for ourselves, right? And we forget that oftentimes we do. So I want us to remind that. And, if I can just get a handful of people to leave seeing themselves as a leader, as the true leaders that they really are, then my purpose is fulfilled. And that's what I want to do. I just want to fulfill a purpose.
I love that. And I really liked what you said that I just put up on the screen here. Leadership lives in us every single day. So true, right? And when we wake up in the morning, we have the opportunity to decide, how are we going to show up in the world today, wearing all of our leadership roles and hats, right? But what you just said about being a person of value, what can I do to make a positive difference in the lives of others today? And some days it may be something small, but you never know how much that little seed that you plant in someone else, or that little thing that you said, or that even tiny bit of support that you gave them, how much of a ripple effect that's going to have on them, right? And so I think also when we wake up with that mindset, it reminds us to, instead of focusing on all of the things that we have to do, which, I certainly fall into that trap sometimes with overwhelm, right? But instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I have to do all of this today, changing that mindset to, I get to do this today. And I actually heard that years ago at one of our National Apartment Association, education conferences. On the last morning, the Saturday breakfast, we had Bert Jacobs, who is the guy that created the t-shirt company about being happy, right? And he told us,
I remember
that the way his mom, his mom was a single mom. They didn't have a whole lot of money, but she was able to put food on the table. But every night at dinner, she made a point to say what was good today. So they had to pick at least one thing. So again, attitude of gratitude, which I'm huge about, because there was always, always, always something to be grateful for, even in our darkest moments, right? So what was one thing that was good today? And his mother is the one that instilled in him and his siblings that mindset of, instead of thinking, I have to do this, to think of it as, I get to do this. And just that simple shift in mindset is so powerful. And I think it aligns perfectly with what you were just sharing with us, right? So leadership lives in us every single day. How do we want to embrace that? So good. Chakurra. So good.
Yeah. And let me say this also, Stephanie. I do the National Mentoring Monday that they do around the world. And I remember my very first one I went to, and this is another reason why it's so important to me. I was there and there were so many different CEOs there. People had appointments scheduled, but so many people were lined up to come to my table and they wanted to see me. People who had nothing, their industries, we just didn't line up, right? So at first I was like, well, what are they coming over here for, right? Because I didn't know how to help them. But what was wild is that when they came to my table, both men and women, mainly women, but they were like, how did you do it? That was the question. How did you do it? And how did you do it with so many children? And that just blew my mind. But there was this one lady who she waited in the back and then she came forward. She had a bracelet. And it was something that I said like a few years ago, like I just posted online, and she had that engraved in her bracelet. And she said, this is what I look at every day. And this is what reminds me that I can do it and I can be a leader, right? So that's why it's so important for me to stand up and show up for people who don't even know, because all those people that were around, they didn't even know that they were already leaders because they were in that room,
Yeah.
So that was
that's incredible. And back to what we were just talking about with planting that one little seed, and it had such an impact that she had it engraved on a bracelet. Amazing. I love those stories. Okay. So you talked a little bit about this already, but I'm going to ask this question in a different way. Tell us a core leadership principle for you. So as you are managing all of these things and wearing all these different hats, and then also helping to build and motivate others, you can pick one, or if you want to talk about a couple, but what is it, one or a few core leadership principles that you hold tight to?
Be you in every aspect of your life, right? Just being authentic is not just a buzzword, and the thing is, people don't realize it's like your superpower. And I'm a hero, right? So I know all about superpowers, but but seriously, I'm just gonna keep it real, okay? So there is a such thing as code switching, right? We've probably all heard about it, where we adjust depending on what room we're in, the people we're with, or the goals that we're trying to achieve. And you know what? If you are anything like me, I even code switch in the car, okay? Because I can be listening to a song, okay? It's bumping, I got it going on. And it may not be the cleanest song, but as soon as my babies get in the car, all right, I'm gonna turn it down a notch, may switch over to the clean version, so we all do it. We all code switch at some point in our life. And the thing is, that is okay. It really is. But there's a secret to it, right? So
I think there's a difference, though. I think there's a difference, though, and you're probably about to talk to this, but between code switching and having situational awareness, right? Like the example that you just gave, you can dance and jam out to, I do that too when I'm in my car by myself. It's at as loud as it can go with the sunroof open. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. That may not be always exactly what I do when my kids get in the car, partially because they'd be irritated, but some of my music they don't like. And so I think that situational awareness, because I'm still me, I'm just like maybe not leaning into all of that wild woman energy when my kids are around or in the room, right? So anyway, I'll let you finish.
Right.
But, yeah.
Absolutely. No, but you're absolutely correct on that. You're absolutely correct. But we've got this thing, I think, people say, oh, she's code switching. She's switching up, right? She may be one way at work and then another way, and so that's one thing that we have to pay attention to, right? Because even when we code switch, our core self and our principles must shine through. Okay. It's not about changing who you are. It's about adapting without losing your authentic self. Okay,
Totally
which
agree.
is similar to what you just mentioned, Stephanie. And when you're true to yourself, you lead with integrity and people trust you more, right? Your team can always sense when you're being genuine, and that inspires loyalty. I mean, respect, connection, all of those things. But on the flip side, when you're trying to be someone that you're not, you're showing up as a completely different person, right? Depending on the day. Well, that creates confusion and it kills trust faster than you can say imposter syndrome. All right. So this remains true whether you're in the boardroom, in the break room, or you're at home with your family. And let me tell you, okay, talking about the children, I want my babies, and I tell everybody this. I want my children to be able to identify me, no matter where I am, because I set the stage. I'm the standard for them. And trust me, if my babies or my husband see me acting other than myself at any time, they are going to call me out. Okay. Just like people are going to call you out if they see you acting other than yourself. The only difference is they're going to call you out behind your back. Right. So we're moving as if, we're moving one way and this and that. And they think that people don't know, but people know. And let's not forget, man, I mean, it's exhausting. I mean, I've been there. I've been before I had all this knowledge on how to do this properly, right? I go in and I perk up and I do this and that. And it was so exhausting trying to be someone that I wasn't, just trying to pretend. So when you're able to just be you, right, and just be aware, like you said, then you're able to focus on what's important and what really matters. So just being yourself.
Could not agree more.
And
I think that's so great. And there's several layers that go into that, right? And I think sometimes that happens, we all are a product of our upbringing, any trauma that we've experienced, throughout our lifetime. And it all, makes this beautiful, complex, unique human being that we all are. The beautiful parts and the sometimes broken or hopefully healed parts. But when we're not healed, that tends to feed into people not showing up authentically. And typically that's rooted in some sort of fear or insecurity, right? Or they learned that their perception of being accepted, which a lot of times it's that, people pleasing piece, or wanting so bad to be accepted that people think that they have to show up in a certain way because that's what others expect. Right. And so that's where, when I'm leveraging the DISC assessment or Clifton Strengths or MBTI, I think those are such great tools because they really help people focus first on self-discovery. Who am I really at my core? What's my public face? What's my private face? How do I see myself in the mirror? How do I, react under stress? And with that self-awareness, the intent is not to change who they are, but to help them identify opportunities where maybe they're showing up in a way that's not serving them or others to their best ability. Right. And I think that can go a long way in helping people really understand that. And just as you said, when we do feed into that people pleasing piece, showing up in a way that others want, but it's not aligned with who we are, it is exhausting and it doesn't feel good and it's confusing, all the things. And there's such power when we accept ourselves, the great parts and the flawed human parts, but we still make a choice to show up authentically. There's such power in that for ourselves. We're more effective. And then we're giving other people permission to do the same, which is so beautiful.
That is so true.
I love it. Okay. My next question for you is, what impact, Chiccorra, do you hope to see from this event? So what impact do you want to make on people who are in the room that day? And then what type of impact do you want to make so they can go back out in the world and show up in a bigger way and impact others in a bigger way?
Okay. Well, let me see. How can I put it? I just, you know what? Okay, so I'll put it like this. I don't want people to just leave inspired. I really, really, really want people to leave ignited, right? Just completely on fire. Because this event isn't just about gathering knowledge, it's about transformation. And I pray that everybody, myself included, because I'm there for the knowledge, okay? It's not just about speaking. But I hope that everyone takes what they learn and tailor it to their unique strengths and apply it boldly to their journey as a leader. And remember that leadership isn't just about titles or roles. I stress that because people, oftentimes think that they have so much respect in titles, but it's not about that. And it's about how you show up to your workplace, to your community, to your families. All those things are so, so very important. And I think that the value that I aim to bring is both practical and transformative. It's about equipping you with tools, perspectives, and strategies that not only make you a better leader, but empowers you to uplift your teams in a meaningful way. So I bring a clearer version of leadership. Okay. So with that being said, there's going to be a lot that is there, but I'm hoping that people can truly understand, and I'm just trying to make it plain and simple. I'll help people to see that leadership is more than a role. It's a responsibility to inspire, to guide, and to grow others. I'll challenge you to think beyond task management and see yourself as a catalyst for change, someone who can unlock potential in those around you. And I want them to lead with a renewed sense of, why you do what you do and all those things, fueled with the passion for making a difference, not just, for you, but for your teams, around the world. And, you mentioned that ripple before, right? I want to say I bring that ripple, right? And that's what I want them to take back. So imagine every single insight that you gain from this event, right? And creating that ripple effect. So you take one idea, you implement it, and then suddenly it improves the lives of your teams, your communities, your families, and even people that you've even yet to meet. That is that ripple. That's what leadership is about, turning moments like this into movements that matter. So I bring that ripple, and it isn't just about listening to the moment and feeling inspired until the coffee wears out, right? It's about action. I want to hear about how you took what you learned and you turned it into a measurable impact. So that's the ultimate success story for me. Not just that you came to an event, but you came to the event and you became that event. So, you're not just here for the knowledge, for the time, because, oftentimes we get excited. We're like, wow, that was some really good stuff. And then we just kind of let it go. Well, I want people to take it back. And I love that you said that ripple when you said that. So I'm going to leave with that. I'm going to bring the ripple.
And what you just said towards the end, I was squinting because I was like, did I get that right? Turning moments into movements that matter. Mm-hmm. That is so powerful. I love that. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got to do it, right?
Well, you do. It's about taking action. Certainly we want to feel good and be inspired. And, that's the one great part of going to events, because not only the messages that you receive, but the networking and the people that you meet. And, I was talking to Araya, one of our other speakers, earlier this week on her interview, and we were talking about the importance of being in the room. Obviously, we said earlier, technology is awesome because I'm in Austin, you're in Africa, and here we are having an awesome conversation where anyone in the world can tap in and join us, which is awesome, right? But nothing replaces being in person and being in the room. And, I met you at the conference, right? And there was that, I loved what you had to say, but there was just this energy that I was drawn to. And I'm like, I have to know her. And, you know, it was magical, right? And here we are doing this awesome thing together.
Yeah.
Same with Araya and Rachel. I met both of them at the same conference with our mutual business coach a little over 3 years ago, this past November. And I met them both at the same time. And one other friend of ours, met the three of them. We all went to dinner. We have remained close friends since. Of course, we've gone to several other events. We've done business together. Both Rachel and Araya are going to be speakers at Live2Lead, and all because I showed up at that one event and I met them, you know, who have become great friends. Same with Dr. Debbie, same with Melissa White, same with Jason Stoughton, and same with Angel Santiago. I remember, it's crystal clear, the moment I met every single one of you, what we talked about. Wow. And had I not attended those events and conferences, that connection may not have happened. And every single one of you, not only are you participating in Live2Lead, but you have made a positive difference and impact in my life, both personally and professionally, because I showed up. And so the message that I want to send to everybody, obviously we want you there, right? But we want you there because we know, in addition to getting incredible value that is going to help you in every area of your life, from our global speakers and our in-person speakers, you may meet the one or handful of people who you need in your circle to elevate your life personally and professionally. And if you don't show up, that connection is not going to happen. So make sure you are in the room. Any comments there before my next question?
I mean, you just said a mouthful. You did. You just said a mouthful. You did. I mean, it's so true. And the fact that this is real. It's not like you're just talking about it. You're not just saying, hey, come and be present. You're saying, look, this is what transpired. This is what came out of being there and being present. It makes such a huge difference. We talk about, you know, AI and all these things that are happening in our world now. And I always emphasize on the human touch, you know, just really being there and being present in that moment. And so this speaks volumes. I'm going to talk to people about it.
Yeah, awesome. You know, and I love AI. I mean, that's been a game changer for me when I'm doing proposals, or, you know, I've been writing my book for almost 2 years. And I had some time a couple weeks ago where I was feeling inspired, and I'd written all this stuff. And to be able to go and plot that into my AI tool, the key is your prompts, though, right? It's almost like talking to a coach or a friend. Like, you have to ask really good questions. Otherwise, you're just going to get generic stuff. But if you know what you want and you know where you need the help and you're super specific, that it's been awesome for me, right? Almost as a brainstorming tool. So, but it doesn't replace, like you said, technology is a tool. It's not a replacement for the human connection and the human touch. I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, it's going to replace, and certainly it may replace some tasks or things that people historically done, but I firmly believe that it does not and will not replace humans. So that's a whole nother.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, because even right now we're on the screen and I just want to hug you, right? I can't. Yeah. Like virtual hug.
Right. You've kind of already answered this, but I'm going to ask it in a different way, and then you can just kind of make it your own. All right. So we talked about the impact you hope to see. You know, anything else to add about what value you're going to bring to leaders to take back to their teams? I think you kind of answered that. You gave us a lot, but let me ask it a different way. If people only take away 3 things from your talk, what are those 3 things that you want to drive home that they can walk away with?
I want them to know that they are a leader. Okay. Leadership looks like so many different things. I want them to know that they must be authentic, and they can be authentic, and they should want to be authentic. And I want them to have resilience. Those are the three biggest things.
I love it. Okay. So our theme for the event is bringing people together in a world that divides. And as we, so for everyone who may be new to this, I chose that theme because, as I mentioned, this is a Maxwell Leadership sponsored event. So I, am licensed and certified through Maxwell Leadership to bring Live2Lead to you. And so as we think about, bringing people together in a world that divides, that theme is actually based on John Maxwell's most recent book, which he wrote, his 90th book, High Road Leadership, which quite honestly was a response to the divide that exists in our country and beyond, the division in the world, to really inspire people to think about who they are and how they want to show up in the world to be that person and that leader that makes a difference. And as Chakurra has said multiple times, and I firmly believe this, we all either already are leaders. And again, it's not about title, right? It's about how we're showing up in the world and making a positive impact and influencing others. So, when you hear that theme, Chakurra, bringing people together in a world that divides, talk to us a little bit more about what that means to you.
Mm-hmm. Well, bringing people together in a world that thrives, okay, because it's sad, but it's true, thrives on division is not easy. But as leaders, it's our responsibility. I truly believe that. And the key is to focus on what connects us rather than what separates us. Okay. And a lot of people don't get that. But we must focus on being intentional, being authentic, and having a whole lot of bravery. One of my favorite quotes is by Nelson Mandela. And that it goes like this. It says, I hope I get it right. It is, courage is not the absence of fear, right? Okay. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear, right? That's it. That's how it is, right? Okay. So basically that quote tells us, Nelson Mandela was saying, listen, it's okay to be afraid, but we got to push forward anyway. And we all know that stepping out of our comfort zone can be scary, and creating unity amongst us requires us to step out of our comfort zone. And it's easier when we start with communication. Communication is like always going to be number one. You have to make those hard conversations easier. And people avoid tough topics because they fear conflict. But in real unity, right, it's not about avoiding conflict. It's about navigating it together, right? Fostering those environments where it's safe to disagree, knowing that disagreement can breed innovation, not hostility, because nobody has time for that, right?
Right. Well, and it's about healthy conflict, right? Healthy conflict,
right?
And there is
healthy
that fine line, and I don't know if you follow Patrick Lencioni and his 5 dysfunctions of a team, but when he talks about the dysfunctions and what we need to do as teams, and it works for families, friendships, romantic relationships, the foundation is trust, but then on that pyramid is conflict. And both organizations, families, marriages fail when they are not communicating authentically, which means we have to have the tough conversations, like you were saying. Now,
that's right.
Have the tough conversation, be authentic. It may be uncomfortable, but you can still do that and have respect. And when people lose the respect portion, that's when it goes off the rails, right? But not being honest and not speaking your truth is also not serving anyone. It's not serving you. It's not serving the other person. And it actually, you think you're avoiding conflict, but what you're doing is making it worse because you're not addressing the issue.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Love Love what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Next, I'd say start with the individual. So, you got to start with the individual and then build the collective. So in order to unite people, we got to first see them. And when I say see them, I mean really see them, listen to their stories, honor their experiences, and create spaces where they feel valued, not for who you think they should be, but who they truly are. Because unity doesn't start with an agreement. Right? It starts with that conversation. It starts with getting to know that person, and it starts with understanding. So that's big for me. You want to say something about that?
I'm just nodding, like in agreement.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, because it's such a big deal. And now this is a big one for me. Find the universal why. Right? I mean, I don't care what's going on. We got to know the why. So no matter our differences, we share those fundamental desires, which, that security, having respect, opportunity, and belonging. And when we start with those shared goals and common grounds, then we start to create a foundation that unifies. And, I'm going to take it all the way back to my grandbabies, okay? When we think about it, our children, the grandchildren, and I mentioned my grandbabies because right now they're at that age, everything is a why, put that down, why, and the thing is, that is a real question. We start with it from babies, right? So once we explain the why, then we can move forward. Everybody gets on the same page and we create that foundation. So I think it's really important to put that. We even have it on our websites, anything of importance to us, we always add that why. Next, I would say building bridges, not walls. And this is so important to me because I've always heard, that we need to stick together like a solid wall. But how do we get to that wall? Right? You got to cross some bridges first. You got to go through some hardships first. And you can't force connection. So you've got to build on it. But what we can do is we can create environments that naturally occur, right? Those connections, we put them together, and that's facilitating those honest conversations, those collaborations, and ensure that everyone feels valued and heard. And empathy, oh my gosh, we can't do anything without empathy. Empathy is the cornerstone of unity. Lead by example. The world mirrors its leaders. So make space for voices that have been sidelined, or, for people that will follow your lead. One thing I can say is that we have a national conference every year, and I always try to put someone on stage with me, right? I try to, first I want to try to get on stage too, but I always add somebody to my ticket, right? Because I think it's important for us to identify those leaders that maybe other people aren't seeing as leaders. And so, allow them to come to the forefront, bring some knowledge, and then maybe people will find them worthy of following. Right. And I think that it's also important for us to see when we talk about mirroring leaders. When I started my firm, I was looking and researching everybody, and I was like, oh, I want to be like that. I want to do that. Right. I mean, all the way down to our parents. When we're young, we mirror our parents. We do what our parents, do until, then we figure out what we like and what we don't like and kind of create your own from there. So I think it's so important to lead as an example. That's so important. And then I'm gonna say this last, and then I'm gonna let it ride because this is just so important to me, this whole topic. But lead with purpose, not position. Okay. Titles don't inspire connections, but shared purpose does. When leaders focus on the mission and not just their role in it, they invite others to do the same. Okay. And that's aligning around values like respect, inclusivity, collaboration, to build those bridges faster. And I got to tell you, it is like when we do that, it's going to build bridges faster than any agenda ever will. So we got to get off the titles. And then last, I'm gonna say this last, and I'm gonna let it go. When people see the world as us instead of them, then we can create those connections, and we won't just create connections, we'll create movements, right? So we have to see this world as us and stop looking at it as them.
I love that so much. And it's so true though, right? So when you do see it as us, it immediately changes your mindset to it's me, it's you and I, we're in this together, right? And that creates and fosters connection. When we use them, we're pointing the finger, right? And we all know what that saying is about pointing the finger. You point a finger at someone and three are pointing back at you, right?
Exactly.
So good. Okay, so for our listening audience, whether you're with us live or you're listening to the recording, I'm going to pull up a little clip that'll tell you a little bit more about Live2Lead. At the bottom of the ticker screen, you can see that we do have a coupon code, New Year, New You. If you use that today, you're going to get $50 off of your ticket, which is an incredible deal because the tickets are already ridiculously affordable.
Super low.
Oh my gosh. So you can't afford not to be in the room, by the way. And to register for the event, and this will come up on the ticker again, it was there a moment ago, you're going to go to www.leadingpeopleandteamstosuccess.com/live2lead. I'll put that here on the ticker in a moment, but let's play this video clip for you, and that should pull up here in just a moment.
John C. Maxwell is a #1 New York Times bestselling author and Horatio Alger Award winner. 4-time Olympian Shantae Lowe is a world record-holding high jumper and gold medalist who has inspired millions with her story on platforms like ESPN and the O Network. Michael Jr. brings laughter and encouragement to audiences all over the world as he inspires audiences to discover and activate their purpose. John Gordon has written 15 bestsellers, including The Energy Bus, The Power of Positive Leadership, and The Carpenter. His clients include several NFL, NBA, and MLB coaches and championship teams. Additional speakers may be international speaker and author Valerie Burton, Chris Robinson, who leads a team of more than 50,000 speakers, trainers, and coaches worldwide, Malcolm Gladwell, who has been called one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time Magazine, or serial entrepreneur and business expert Brandon Dawson.
Okay, so there's a little bit more about our global speakers. You guys, you can't afford not to be in the room. And it's so affordable. You are going to get so much value. It is going to knock your socks off. You're going to ask, when is the next one? And how can I bring my peers and my team? That's how great it's going to be. So we cannot wait to see you in the room. Again, we have that coupon code, New Year, New You, so that you can secure your seat today and get $50 off your ticket. You're going to go again to www.leadingpeopleandteamstosuccess.com/live2lead in order to register. And we can't wait to see you there. So Chakurra, thank you so much for the incredible value you already brought to everyone here today. I cannot wait to see you in person finally and give you that great big hug. Enjoy the rest of your time in Africa, and I will see you in Atlanta literally in a month. I cannot wait.
I know. I'm excited. Thank you. This was great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.